it up for questions. Any questions?
You talk about how you were able to be vegan from the age of 14, but for the majority of people, and as I heard one nutritionist say, for a majority of people, 90% of vegans or 80% of vegans don't maintain the vegan diet. They're incapable, they get something like IBS, or they have protein issues, or like with protein substitutes like tofu, you're not able to get the same amount of protein from there as you are meat alternatives. To what point would someone's quality of life have to deteriorate for you to say it is permissible for them to eat meat?
Sure, so you raised a few points, so if I missed something, tell me. So yeah, I did talk about my anecdotal experience. It wasn't the entirety of what I said, that was just an example. So as I mentioned, there is free information online. If you go to challenge22.com, it's a 22-day challenge. It's entirely free, and you get linked with a dietitian who can guide you through the process. There were a few other points you raised. You raised a point about vegans quitting. You said 80 or 90%. So I'm familiar with the study you might be referencing. It's the Techno-Humanism study that showed, I believe, 80% quit. So it actually wasn't talking about vegans. It was combining vegans and vegetarians. And the reason for quitting was largely not due to health reasons. At what point would it, and you know, I just say, you know, with protein, like, you know, I mean, I'm no professional bodybuilder, but I do get approximately 200 grams of protein a day to support my powerlifting hobbies. You know, it's really no issue. Every single plant has all 9 essential amino acids. Right? There are plant sources of protein that have a higher protein to calorie ratio than meat, such as textured vegetable protein. Okay, so the final question you had, at what point would someone's quality of life have to reduce for them to, for it to be justified for them to eat meat? Was that correct?
Yes, that was the question.
Okay, so like to me, this would depend on a person, right? Like it's a question of if you're going to die unless you eat meat, is that acceptable? Possibly. I mean, to me, it's it goes back to logical consistency, right? Like if I would kill and eat a disabled person to continue my existence, then I would say it's acceptable. But, or rather, then I would say I'm logically consistent in killing and eating an animal. But if you would kill and eat, if you would not kill and eat a disabled person or a trait equalized human being, then you would be contradicting yourself by doing that to an animal. And you know, I just raised the point because it does seem relevant. I don't believe that applies to any person in this room. Instances in which you must eat, meat to live are, you know, basically reserved to imaginary hypotheticals. Not to say there's no value in talking about them, but every human being, barring maybe some super extreme circumstances, can thrive on a vegan diet.
Yeah, I had a question about a hypothetical. Like you're against consuming meat right now because it causes mass cruelty for animal species and like, you know, it takes away their quality of life and their habitat as well. Hypothetically, if you were able to convert the whole world to veganism, like, and you had 8 billion people going vegan, right? And you needed food to sustain those 8 billion people. So like tofu, I don't know how it's made, but hypothetically, it takes a lot of resources to make. So there's going to be an increased demand for land. There could also be an increased demand for emissions. And how would you feel? Like, what stance would you take when it's gotten to a point where it's harming animal life by taking away habitats, food, or land?
Really great question, actually. Firstly, I will just, it's obviously not the crux of your point, but I will disagree with the characterization of my point. My point wasn't related to cruelty or suffering. Neither Oliver or myself are utilitarians. It was about logical consistency was the point I Secondly, to address, okay, let's say I snap my fingers, the whole world's vegan, how do we feed these people? Well, this is actually a non-issue because we already grow more than enough food to feed the entire planet. It's just that most of the food we grow is fed to livestock, right? So I believe something like 90% of soybeans are actually fed to animals as feed. So the demand for farming would actually reduce. Do you have more questions? Yes.
I was wondering if you think it would suffice as a criteria of value to say that they have to possess that degree of intelligence or the mental faculty that's being required by the other team, or they have the natural capacity to do so. By natural, I just mean kept left unharmed and satisfied to the degree that their nutrition would normally require for standard amount of growth that group. Then those would be like the two possible criteria for valuations.
I don't see how that would. I don't see how that would mean you can't kill disabled people because there's more than enough disabled people to get enough nutrition but don't develop to that capacity.
Well, I think it would depend on how they apply for disability. So I think actually a lot of the time it might be like in utero potentially they apply the disability, or they're deprived of large amount of oxygen as they're being born, or they're hit really hard on the head as a child. But they would all possess the natural capacity for the faculties that they're talking about. They would just be harmed, and then that would infringe the achieving the natural capacity.
Well, that wouldn't be the case of a genetic disorder.
But I think with the, I'm not a genealogist, but potentially, my understanding is maybe genetic disorder comes about because of a mutation or a gene copying error. That would be another and I would say that would also not be considered a natural acquiring, or that would be an infringement on their natural growth. So if you consider those sorts of things as an infringement on natural growth, then couldn't you say you have a consistent criteria?
You could, but then I would just posit a hypothetical. Let's just say we genetically engineer humans. It's not going to go to that point of wouldn't consider it morally wrong. Or rather, you would be committed to say it's not morally wrong, or at least, to say to say something is like an error seems a bit unclear to me. That might be a good idea to point out. Not a realist about most of these sorts of things. All mutation. The reason I have brown skin and all that has white skin is, essentially due to randomness in gene copying.
Yeah. We might do just a few more questions. Is it okay?
Yep.
I'd like to raise an argument from another perspective about the difference between an inability or disabled person and also pets with another kind of animal that serve for meat eating. It's in terms of relationship. I say why they are different because all human actually, whatever who it is, has a special relationship with another human being. And it is the reason why we protect them and have the special rights for them. And apply this kind of concern to the pets as well. Why we don't eat the pet's meat? Because we have special relationship with those pets. And so we take care of them with a special care. However, and therefore, their relationship is different. Their right is different with the other kind of animals that are in the farm and pretend to be. What will you respond to this?
Yeah, so it just goes through the same trait equalization process. What's true of an animal that if true of a human would justify treating the human as an animal. It's so that we don't have a specific relationship to that animal. Okay, let's just imagine a human that's isolated. We don't have a relationship to them. You would then be committed to saying it's okay to bulk on that human and eat them. And if you take that back, it's a contradiction. If you accept it, it's absurdity. Yep.
Sorry, building onto Kate's point, I don't think it's really the exception because the point that you are making is that you're trying to justify the liberty of an entire species, right? But the way you're going about it is you're saying that there's this one individual from the species that's able to, I don't know, communicate to me, draw a shape that makes me feel happy. Therefore, all of the species should live. What Kay is saying is that the animals that we have, the individuals that we have, the group connections that we have, we're giving those individuals the right above the entire species. We're not saying that we're giving all dog species rights. We're saying the ones that we that are like special to us, we're giving those ones rights.
Sorry, so you're saying that the only humans you would grant rights to are those that you care about?
No, with humans, like the affirmative said, it's different because they're in our species. When you say isolating and disabled people, you're taking people that are outliers, just like you're taking outliers in the animal species that are able to reach the standard that you would say are level that we won't kill.
Yeah, so we don't eat dog in general, whatever it is isolated or not.
So I haven't said anything about dogs, and I haven't brought up outliers in the animal case. I think there might be a misunderstanding there. Yeah, sure, if you'd like to clarify.
Sorry, if I could put it in a perspective of like, if I could like make it easier to express my point, it's like to me, the argument comes across as that let's say if I was to kill Kay here, you would say that it was okay to kill all humans because we have the potential to kill other people. And you're saying that animals should deserve the rights and capabilities to survive like humans do because there are a few individuals within these animal species that are able to have the same level of intelligence of other species we value, like dogs.
I think that is a mischaracterization of my point. So my point goes to show that you cannot justify harming or killing animals without justifying killing trait equalized humans, right? So then there could potentially be a difference between Kay and other humans, but I'm not quite understanding.
So it just seems to me like you're arguing that based on the prior reasoning we gave, which is that there is a reason to do that. He hasn't given a reason why there's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I feel like the vegan side is to justify what the whole species should happen, and your argument should take a point where you're justifying the whole survival of the species, not. And I feel like the way it's going about is by you're justifying the survival of an individual instead of the entire species.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it.
Right, yeah. So I think I understand. I would just say, this outlier case shows the logical extension of your view, which then is what someone who finds it acceptable to eat meat has to grapple with.
I'm going to end it there just because otherwise we won't have a chance for all the speakers.